Hello, today we're going to be talking about an enhanced version of the Agile process, known as DevOps. First, let's examine the problem that DevOps is working to solve. IT organizations are responsible for many things. Among them are two goals which must be pursued simultaneously. First, they need to respond to the rapidly changing competitive landscape. And second, they need to provide stable and reliable and secure service to the customer. Frequently, what ends up happening is the development team will take responsibility for responding to those changes in the market by deploying new features and changes to the production. IT operations, meanwhile, will take responsibility for providing customers with IT service that is stable, reliable, and secure. This can make it difficult to enact the changes to production required to stay competitive. When configured in this way, directly opposing goals are effectively working against each other. This core and chronic conflict is what DevOps is seeking to solve. DevOps evolved from the Agile process in conjunction with the Enterprise Systems Management movement. It seeks to combine the best features and principles of the Agile process and also address the fact that development today is more focused on systems and services rather than just software. Patrick Dubois, one of the founders of DevOps, believes that DevOps arose as a reaction to the inflexibility and silos he saw in the existing practices. He believes that DevOps emerged from a perfect storm of these things coming together. The growing automation and toolchain approach, fed by enhanced monitoring and provisioning tools, a need for agile processes and dev and operations collaboration, along with the failure of large implementations of ITSM and ITIL. All of this collided and unconsciously brought together all three layers of what is needed for the agile movement: principles, process, and practices. A good definition of DevOps comes from the book DevOps, A Software Architect's Perspective. It states that DevOps is a set of practices intended to reduce the time between committing a change to the system and the change being placed into normal production, while still ensuring high quality. Essentially, DevOps is an extension of the Agile process and generally follows the principles of the Agile Manifesto. DevOps simply seeks to widen the scope of Agile's principles to include systems and operations rather than stopping its concerns at the time code is checked in. At the same time, this isn't just an attempt to tell developers to do their job better or to simply follow a specific set of instructions and then, as if by magic, you'll be implementing DevOps. In the end, what DevOps hopes to bring to Agile is the understanding and practice that software isn't done until it's successfully delivered to a user and meets their expectations around availability, performance, and pace of change. Now let's take a step back and look at the foundation of DevOps, which is Agile. The Agile Manifesto lays out a laundry list of principles that shape what it means to be Agile. Many of you have probably seen this, so I will just touch on it briefly. These principles include everything from how to handle changing requirements, how to work with the business team, sustainability, and the reflection on how to become more effective. You do not need to adhere to all of them to be Agile, but you will find many of these principles in any Agile implementation. While this list is a great starting point, its creators left out the operations aspect when it comes to delivering a system. Now, take a moment and ask yourself these questions. What would adding operations bring to the Agile process? What could be changed about the Agile Manifesto to bring the operations aspect of the project into the process with engineering? And how would the process be different from traditional Agile? Take a moment and pause the video while you consider this. Okay, now there isn't an official version of the DevOps Manifesto, so let's take a look at one example. You'll notice that most of this looks pretty familiar. Since DevOps was founded on the Agile processes, most of it will be the same, but let's highlight the key changes. You will notice that most of these changes involve only a few words, and there are only 2 new principles. But the impact of these changes is what sets DevOps apart. The first major change is swapping software for functionality in multiple places. This is more general than just saying software, as it encompasses the entire system. Next, a new item which outlines why systems are important. Software functionality can only be realized by the customer when it is delivered to them by sound systems. Non-functional requirements are as important as desired functionality to the user's outcome. This means that the system around the functionality is as important as the functionality itself. The next bullet is also new, and it is a foundational principle of DevOps. Infrastructure is code and should be developed and managed as such. This means that the automation and configuration should be handled the same as the code for the functionality. It should be updated regularly and improved to meet the needs of the team as well as the customer. Next is including the operations team in the list of stakeholders for the project. And again, this change is made in a couple of places. And last, we're going to hammer home the concept that we are working to create a sound system rather than just a product. Although minor, these changes carry a lot of weight. Operations and engineering already have their own issues and priorities, and by blending operations and then development, you can exacerbate these problems that each team handles individually. This can create problems for an unprepared team, but if you enforce the concepts of system and infrastructure, you will have a solid foundation to build on. All right, let's condense this down. There are 3 key features when implementing DevOps: infrastructure automation, continuous delivery, and site reliability engineering. Infrastructure automation makes servers and VM management more flexible, efficient, and scalable by converting management tasks and policy into code. Infrastructure described as code is versionable, readable, and testable, effectively streamlining the process. Building on that idea, continuous delivery is to automate builds, testing, and deployments, enabling faster throughput for delivered functionality. This is very similar to agile processes, where you can deliver or deploy finished code to the system at any point without the need to assign a release date. Site reliability engineering applies scripting and automation to operations tasks such as maintenance and support. Basically, by automating more areas of the service or system, you can focus on building new features rather than maintaining the infrastructure or handling those customer issues. By automating these processes within the Agile framework, your operations framework begins to work for you, rather than the other way around. Now, let's talk a little bit about a couple of benefits of implementing DevOps. According to Puppet Lab's 2013 State of DevOps survey, companies that incorporate DevOps practices get more done. They can deploy up to 30 times more frequently than their competition, and less than 50% of their deployments fail. The cross-functional nature of a DevOps team incorporating developers, QA, DBAs, business analysts, operations engineers, etc., can provide many benefits. Some technical benefits include continuous software delivery, less complex problems to fix, and faster resolution of problems. There are also some benefits on the business side, including faster delivery of features, more stable operating environments, and more time available to add value rather than fix and maintain the system. In summary, DevOps is a next phase implementation of Agile. It builds on the foundational principles and practices that Agile created. It asserts that good functionality should be the first priority, not simply a delivered product. It showcases the importance of automation in the development and testing processes to ensure the fastest possible time to market. And most importantly, it points out that operations is just as important to project success as the other stakeholders in the project: engineering, business units, or the product management team. As Ernest Mueller, Director of Engineering Operations at AlienVault, said, "The concepts behind Agile are sound, but operations was left out of the deal. 10 years ago, most apps were desktop software, But now that many, if not most, are services, the operations team is an integral part of creating and delivering the application. This has been an introduction to the basics of DevOps as a development lifecycle. Thank you for watching.